I'm Ben Hoover, and this is Weekend Odds and Ends, a special Friday edition of the UPI Odd News Minute for June 20th, 2025. Welcome to Weekend Odds and Ends, our weekly roundup of the missed odd opportunities that didn't quite make this week's podcasts. First up, the wings at an Iowa Buffalo Wild Wings were truly wild this week when a live chicken showed up at the front door of the restaurant. The Animal Rescue League of Iowa shared a photo on social media showing a chicken at the front door of the Buffalo Wild Wings on Southeast 14th in Des Moines. Officials wrote on social media, "What the cluck? Talk about a chicken on the wrong side of the road." The poor, confused hen was collected by an ARL Animal Services officer and is now being cared for by specialists. It was unclear where the chicken came from or why it chose to visit that particular restaurant. Moving on from a hen's confusion to a case of missing mongoosin, a zoo on Britain's Isle of Man said its escaped animal is no longer gone goose after paying a visit to a local pub. The Kira's Wildlife Park in Bala said the yellow mongoose, named Geff, escaped last week by burrowing out of his enclosure and was on the loose for several days before turning up at the Heron and Brarely Brewery in Douglas, about 15 miles from the zoo. Geff, who was born in September, is now back at the zoo and will be in quarantine for a short time before rejoining his family. Zoo officials said they suspect Geff may have escaped to search for a mate. The zoo is now in the process of finding Geff a new home at another zoo where he can join a breeding program. Meanwhile, in other zoo escapes, the Central New York Zoo, where a wallaby escaped during the weekend, said the marsupial was caught on camera by a thermal drone, but she managed to evade capture. The wallaby, named Mac, escaped Sunday from G&G Animals in Oswego, sparking a days-long search for the animal. Dan Utzdijk, owner of G&G Animals, said the thermal drone located Mac about a half mile from the zoo Wednesday night, but she stayed one hop ahead of her would-be captors. Officials said capture efforts have been temporarily suspended to avoid causing Mac too much stress, but will resume the search Friday night. And finally, British transport company Megabus is sharing some of the most unusual pieces of lost property left behind on its buses, including hay bales, a frozen turkey, a cooking wok, and false teeth. The bus operator said items found left behind on buses in May included a Winnie the Pooh stuffed toy, a real jar of honey, a guitar, a Radiohead vinyl record, insulin, an electric razor, a Neil Diamond CD, a single shoe, and a collection of historic coins and stamps. The company said some of the more unusual items left on buses in years past included 3 bales of hay, a set of family tree documents, a frozen turkey, false teeth, a cooking wok, and multiple lone shoes and socks. Megabus said about 95% of lost and found items are eventually returned to their owners, and those that go unclaimed after 28 days are usually donated to charity. For these stories and more national, international, sports, entertainment, science, and odd news from United Press International, visit UPI.com. Follow the UPI Odd News Minute on YouTube and TikTok. What's your favorite animal to visit at the zoo? Tell us about it in the comments.